If you love talking about cats, but your friends and family are kind of over it, this is the podcast for you. Join your hosts, Danielle Stray Woolley and Elizabeth Calico Gearhart, on the Jersey PodCats, where everyday cat lovers share funny stories, challenging situations, and ask their questions about cats. All right, let's get right into this episode.
Oh, there. Okay.
We're going to have a lot of fun today already before we even started recording. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Danielle, aka Stray.
And I'm Elizabeth, aka Calico.
And we are the Jersey PodCats. Awesome.
You know, they do that on Radio Lab, though, where they have it like a little off kilter. So I think we're okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So the reason we're laughing is because I couldn't figure out why there was something weird in the corner of my screen. And it was my arm. So that's just the kind of day that I'm having today. I couldn't figure out what it was. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's my arm. Anyway, so what were you just saying, though, before that, Elizabeth? It was really funny. I think we should start there.
Oh, so Max update. Max is about the same. I take him back for a recheck. I'm going to try food, although they think there's a 3% chance it's a food allergy. So he's going to get venison as soon as it arrives. But when I did the base pause analysis of Max, he's part ragdoll. And ragdolls are called ragdolls because they just kind of lay over your arm and don't do anything.
And he was a wet towel today, you were saying?
A wet towel. So I was carrying him around today. And then he's also part Maine Coon and then a whole bunch of other stuff. You know, he's just a Heinz 57 mix. But I was asking Danielle and Jackie, so when it comes to these cat breeds, what kind of cat follows you around all day, always wants to have something to eat, and even sometimes like licks and kind of slurps your face?
And I was saying that sounds like all of my cats, except for the face licking part. I don't think any of them have ever licked my face before.
I was going to say a kid.
Well, and my thought is that's not a cat, that's a dog.
Oh gosh. But doesn't Max do that sometimes? No?
Do cats do that? Well,
Do any of your cats do that?
So Max always wants to see what I'm eating and always wants a bite. And anytime I go to the refrigerator, we've got this little step stool in the kitchen because I'm vertically challenged. He jumps up on the step stool and tries to get in the fridge to see what we're going to eat together.
Oh goodness. That's cute. So we are joined today with one of my dear friends, Jackie Berman. Say hello, Jackie.
Hello, everyone. And I am Cats. Actually, I was a Cats. My son's last name is Cats. So that's why I love cats.
There we go. And it
Yeah.
took me a minute to put together what you were just saying. And I was like, is she coming out as a human cat? I did not expect
No.
this. But I remembered your last name was Cats.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, my last name was Cats.
And we're not very formal today. What did you call it, Jackie?
Catable. What's it? Cat? What I say?
Catchroll.
Actual.
Casual.
Catchroll.
Yeah, because I was saying how, I usually like to get a little dressed up, wear a blouse or have a blazer on. But today's just been a day where I'm in a ponytail and a t-shirt that says adopt a cat on it. So Jackie said,
Or
that
two.
sounds very casual. So today's topic is going to be based around what to do to make sure that you're planning appropriate for the animals and pets in your life. So if something were to happen for you. So, it's something that most people don't want to think about because we all want to think that we're going to be here forever. But we want to have like a real conversation around things to take into consideration, maybe share some stories of things we've had happen just to help educate people and get them thinking of what to do if anything were to happen. And the reason we have Jackie here today for a couple of reasons. One, she's a great woman. She's a good friend of mine. Very proud to say.
Thank you.
She also was there when we were like, hey, Elizabeth, we just met. We should do a podcast. And Jackie was like, that sounds great. I'll talk about this topic. And here she is. So thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you for putting this together.
So-
Cat lovers have got to stick together.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Oh, I just want to say, and I knew Jackie from Lisa Ascalese's group
Yes.
before. And Jackie's going to come on the radio show that my husband and I do called Passage to Profit to talk about this topic too, because it is a topic of interest to a lot of people, right?
Yes. And it's an important topic that people don't like talking about.
yeah.
Right.
So before we do that, let's talk about, so I'm already in my stomach and I
Okay.
joke that I'm a very emotional person. So my stomach's already like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk about this. So let's talk about something fun real quick.
Okay.
Let's talk about your kitty cat.
Yeah.
So how did you get your kitty cat? Tell everybody what her name is and how I have my fingers crossed that she's going to wind up in the Guinness Book of World Records for her age.
Yeah, really.
Okay. My cat is named Layla. And she's named Layla because I had at one time 5 cats. And they all had the same background as to names. They were all named after boxers. And
Oh,
so I had Rocky, I had Ali, I had Fraser. Trying to think which I had one more. I mean, it's probably up here. So
that
I
was
had
3.
3, and then Layla, and I'm trying to think of the last one. I can't even think of the last one was named before we went into that. It was
Okay.
Lucy, but she was named after a guitar.
Mhm.
But one of my cats started biting the ear of another cat, and
My
I'm
Derek
like,
does that.
"Oh, you're Tyson." That we named him Tyson.
That's
Can I just
great.
say something about boxers? So the first time I went down to Philadelphia to see the Liberty Bell, you know what else is there, right?
Oh yeah, the Rocky Steps.
The life-size Rocky statue. And it's like, I just started like laughing hysterically. Like I'm like, and then my daughter was like, yeah, like they don't even have a statue of a real person that was famous from their town. It's a fictional character.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, the only thing I
Philadelphians.
know, the only thing I know about boxing is my nunu was a really, really sought after tailor. Like he was really great at making suits, and we have pictures of him. He used to create the tailored suits for boxers and some pretty cool famous people. But that's the extent of what I know about boxing.
But my Layla is named after Muhammad Ali's daughter. His daughter's name is Layla. So she was the girl. So I was like, okay, what girl fighter? And she was a fighter. I said, she's Layla. So Layla is the only surviving out of all of them. And she is going to be 22 in March. And I've had her since
Layla.
yes, and I've had her since she was a kitten. So I know exactly how old she is.
Yeah, that's great. And you and I have had conversations about this too, and it's come up as a topic in a couple of other episodes so far about knowing like the personality of your cat, and it just wouldn't make sense for you to get another cat at this point because she's just so used to herself and your way, and it would just actually be stressful to her to introduce another animal at this time.
Exactly.
And that's responsible.
I miss having more because I usually have a dog. And I lost my dog last year, and I just really miss having it. But I won't do that to Layla. Matter of fact, I won't even babysit somebody else's cat at this point because I don't want to stress her out.
Yeah,
She's
and
used
that's
to her
good.
way, and that's it. And I
good.
want to do whatever I can to make her senior years happy.
So this could kind of segue into our next topic as if you get
You're so
another
good, Elizabeth. I mean, Calico, you're great.
but if you get another round of cats, which I have told my children I will have cats till the day I die, and my daughter has agreed to take my cats. But if you do get another round of cats, we're all going to die someday. I know it's morbid, but what's going to happen to them?
Okay, I have it in my will. Who's going to take my cat? And they know it ahead of time. That's something that is so important because how many pets end up in a rescue because there are no plans for when the person passes? And let's face
it's unexpected.
Yeah, we're all going to go there. We don't have any choice. That's the way life goes. So it's to me, it's a responsible pet owner who has the plans for the pet. Because you see it all the time in your adoptions, how many end up at the rescue because there was no plan.
Yeah. And I've been seeing it too, not just if something happens to you, but just if your home ownership changes, if your status, if you have to go into a home or you go into a senior community where they don't allow animals. I've been seeing a lot of that happening. And we actually have a couple of cats now where there was 4 and they're a little bit older. And they don't want to split them up. But at this point, if that's the only way that they can get adopted, that's what's been happening. And at the end of the day, the cats are fine. Like once they get into a new home, it's fine. It's just all the stress of getting from point A to point, I don't even want to say B, to point Z, really.
Well,
No,
yeah, Jackie, I wanted to ask, I'm sorry, Danielle.
Yes.
I
we're
just,
probably going to ask the same thing. So our brains synced up
Okay.
already.
well, do you remember, I don't know how long ago it was, like 20 years ago, this really wealthy woman left all
Yes.
her money to her
How
cat.
old
Imelda
do you think
Margo-
I
no,
am?
from New York,
Yeah.
the builder.
Yeah. And she left
Yes.
all her money to the cat, and the family was furious, and there was nothing they could do because it was an ironclad will, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you remember that,
Um,
Danielle? Or are you too young?
Well, you didn't hear me. I just said, how old do you think I am? I mean, I know I have gray hair, but
you're a kid. Are you kidding?
Yes. No, I forgot her. She was a builder, and all the buildings had her last name also.
that's cool.
Yeah, but it's so important to have, like just to have a plan for your pet. You should have a plan for children just as much. And the pets need us even more sometimes than children, because the children grow older and are self-sufficient, where a pet always needs you.
Nobody send us nasty messages about comparing cats to children. Okay. So she didn't mean it that way.
No, not
'Cause I've
that
seen
way,
some
but
heated discussions.
Listen now,
on
I
that.
just met a woman the other
I
night.
saw your face. Yeah.
I just met a woman the other night who said her cat was her child, and
Yeah.
she's still grieving the loss of that cat that died a couple years ago. So there are those of us who do feel like our
Well,
pets are our children.
Well, not just that. Well, what I meant is that a child, yes, it's horrible for a pet, like poor Lisa Marie Presley, she's got 14-year-olds. Yes, they're going to mourn, but they are eventually going to get older. And when they're 21 or 30, they don't need a parent to take care of them. Whereas a pet always needs somebody to take care of them.
Now, going back a bit, because like I said, I'm terrible at doing intros. Give us all just a little bit of a background of why this topic is also so important to you, not just from the animal perspective, but just wills in general, because I think that's a good story to share too.
Which part of it? No, I'm with
I mean,
the
it's sad, but I think it's important to share.
Yeah, no, it's so important. I was a widow at a very young age. I was a widow at the age of 31. And we did have a will in place, because of the fact my husband, at that time, he was sick when we were in high school. So we made sure we had all our ducks in a row, and it made my life a lot easier. Now go back 3 years ago, my brother passed away unexpectedly. He did not have a will. And I work with a company that does do wills, but he didn't have a will. He had 5 labs. He bred labs. He had 5 of them. He lived out of state. We didn't even know the names of the dogs. But if he had plans, at least we would have known where the dogs could go, because none of us could take the dogs. They're big dogs. And none of us in the family were able to take any of them. And all 5 dogs ended up at a lab rescue. But if we had a name of some of the people that he knew that could have taken a dog, they wouldn't have ended up there. I'm sure they all were adopted well, but it was just the thought that there was no plan.
Yeah. And we've had a couple of people contact Tommy's Cats Rescue, meaning well, saying, hey, if I put you in our will and leave you some money, will you make sure my cats are taken care of? And we've actually told them to go back to their legal counsel to work that out, because we don't feel comfortable. Because how do we know we're going to be around as a rescue in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now? Like we just didn't feel comfortable saying, yes, we can absolutely do that. Now, there are organizations that do that.
I saw somebody walking behind you.
Well, I was trying not to interrupt you. Loki's tail is actually flapping back and forth. He keeps almost hitting my face with it right here too. So he's in a feisty mode. And that was Tony, and Thor is kind of hiding, because I explained to him earlier today he's going for a grooming, because he has a little knot on him that I don't feel comfortable getting out. People are like, listening, what are you talking about? Go to YouTube and you'll see. But what was I just saying with that? Oh, so having a plan for the cats. And I have had people in my family say like, oh, I just assumed you're going to take my cats. And I'd say like, obviously I can't say no. That's the kind of person I am, but I'd rather have something in writing. So somebody has it set up where it's actually the verbiage of it says something like, we get you could tell how professional I am. I was just signed in. I said, whatever, I don't care. But we get a certain amount of money to make sure the cats are cared for. And whether that means we keep them or get them adopted out, but just having a plan, it just gets rid of all that extra chaos. Because when something like that happens, you're grieving. Like that's the last thing you want to have to figure out.
Exactly. And the cat's grieving too. The pet's grieving. So it's nice to know what the plan is, and the family doesn't have to be going crazy. Who's going to take the cat, or dog or whatever pet you have? Just make sure you have planned for that animal. It just makes the life, you love the pet so much, make plans for it.
Right. And exactly if especially too, if it's kind of a strange pet, because I talked to this woman the other day and she does pet rescue in Chicago and she's going to come on the show. Danielle
She's
spoke
great.
with her
I
as
was
well.
talking to her yesterday.
But they take reptiles and they take everything. It sounds like, but I mean, how easy is it to get a reptile readopted, and who's going to want to take your snake? I mean, maybe there is somebody.
We do know somebody.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
do know somebody. Eric, the reptile guy. He would do it. He actually brought a snake back to life. Yeah. Did he ever tell you that story? He
No.
he had to force feed it. It was depressed and it was dying, and he loved it because he thinks they're as lovable as cats are. And I love snakes too, but so he force fed it mushed up rats or mushed up mice like that. He got all, anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail, but anyways, he brought the snake back to life.
Wow. That's Eric.
And if you ever want to see Eric, he does do events and he does bring his snakes with him, and he does kids shows too.
Yeah, we'll link him into we'll link him into the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
So what is something, because you got my brain going now. What is something funny that Layla does that you've never had any of your other cats do before?
Well, now that she's older
and stuck in her ways,
she sleeps most of the time. But it's really funny because when she gets up, like all of a sudden she'll start crying, and that's time to eat. That's time to feed her.
It's an alarm clock.
Yes. So I know as soon as she's up and she starts crying, okay, time to feed you. And she does get stuck in her own old ways. I have to leave the food in a certain place. We have changed foods now that she's older to softer foods. She likes having the soft lickable foods, whereas before she liked the harder food.
So you made me think of something funny that my cat Checkers did. And it was way before she got kind of senile and died, but I didn't know if we had a ghost in the house, because she would go in our foyer is a 2-story foyer, and she would have a conversation with them, and Checkers never meowed. She talked. I heard her having a conversation with something. She was going,
did
meow?
She do it in the foyer?
Yeah. Meow. Oh, meow. Meow. And it was the strangest thing. Like, is there a ghost here?
Maybe a ghost cat.
The reason I asked if it was in the foyer is because Loki used to do that, because I think it's because the reverb, like the echo of the voice off the wall, and he used to do it just in the foyer. The other thing that he does too is he'll jump up to the railing, and maybe I'll change my camera for a show because I'm sure he'll do it, where he just jumps up and it's almost like he's bouncing on one foot, but there's nothing below him. It's a 2-story drop.
Oh, man.
And I'm just scared every time. Again, my stomach flops where I'm like, oh my God, look down. But he thinks it's hilarious. So he'll keep doing it because he sees me freak out. So I have to ignore him and pretend it doesn't bother me. And then he stops.
Yeah. But at this point, being that she's 22, just about 20, I just let her do whatever she wants.
I would too.
She just sleeps. She used to climb, like when I had, where I'm at now, I had 1 dog and 3 cats. Now I'm just down to the 1 cat. So as soon as she was she loved being off. I thought she would really miss the other cats, but she really enjoyed being an only pet. And it was like, wow.
Yeah, we've had a couple of people come on and have the same experience. Yep.
And she's all of a sudden she's going under the blanket at night, laying on me, which she never did before because the other cats and the dog were there. And now it was finally her turn. So that's why I also don't want to get another until she passes, because she's let her enjoy her senior life.
What does she look like, Jackie?
She's a brown cat, Tabby. She's tiny. You know, they say the smaller you are, the longer your lifespan. Well, it's true for
She's
cats
teeny.
too. She's tiny. She only weighs about 4 or 5 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Whereas the other cats weighed 15 to 20 pounds. Yeah.
Now, Jackie, going back to educating people and giving
Yes.
them an idea of what to think about, what are some things that your clients, plan for? Like any tips? Like where would they start? Like if someone says, and I know I texted you this the other day, so
Yes.
I'm actually a client of Jackie's as well. I have my will paperwork just sitting over there.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to do it. Like it just seems so morbid. It's like, what are some tips for someone to just like rip off the Band-Aid, do it, and what things do they take into consideration when they're planning for their pets?
Well, my company is PPLSI, which is Legal Shield and ID Shield. And we actually have a will questionnaire that we send out to our clients. Makes it really nice and easy. And in it, it even has a question: do you have any pets and what are your plans? So we make it really easy for you to make those plans. And I always say, talk to the person before you write them down.
That's
And
smart.
make sure it's okay with them. Like my son knows this was his cat before he went to college. All right. He knows that if something happens to me, that cat knows him, and that's where the cat's going. So just make sure the person's not all of a sudden a surprise, like, haha, you got my cat, or whatever. But make sure it's okay with them. Because even my dog, the person who was going to take my dog was the dog's babysitter, my dog sitter, so that the dog knew her.
Now, would you recommend like writing some of this stuff out? Like just thinking about all of mine, like certain
everything,
foods they will or won't eat and times a day they do stuff.
The more the information, the better. People don't want to think about it, but you never know what tomorrow will bring. Like I was discussing it just the other day with my son, and he's like, Ma, I don't want to talk about it. And that day I got in a car accident.
Oh my God.
Like you just don't know what will happen. So it's better to have a plan.
Yeah, my husband I've been trying to get us to get our wills done. We started one time.
And
it's right there. I'm gonna have it done this weekend because I knew she was gonna yell at me and say, did you have it done yet? It's
So
right there.
He's superstitious. He's like, I feel like if we do our wills, we're inviting fate to strike us dead or something. And I'm like, really? So it's better to die without a will?
make it easier because your loved ones are going to be mourning you. Right. And I say we call it a love letter to your family.
Oh,
it's your final,
I like that.
It's a final love letter to your family as to what your wishes are. And this way, even people fight over the dumbest things. They could be fighting over a piece of like dishes or something like that, or just make it easier for them. So this way everything is planned and there's no fighting amongst the family.
Do you think people should leave money to the cat, or they just leave it to the cat caretaker? If they leave money to the cat, does that make somebody want to kill the cat so they get money?
Oh my goodness. God. But that is a funny question. I'd like to know what your take is on it.
Like one of those Agatha Christie novels,
okay.
Right?
I'm not an attorney, so I would say ask the estate attorney. Because you do get it with us, you do get a chance to speak to the estate attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
But I just know that my son would take care of the cats, and he's getting all my money anyway. So
Well, now you're making me think, if I can talk Richard into doing our wills, should we give our daughter a premium since she's going to get stuck with the cats?
Yeah. Exactly. Make sure there's enough toys in there, and stuff like that.
Allergy medicine fund for your daughter, right? Oh gosh, we're terrible. But I'm glad we were able to make light of such a subject and kind of open up the conversation on it. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about cats in general at all? Like anything you have questions on that you want to put out to our audience to respond on?
Well, one thing I was discussing with you, Danielle, is something that I saw that I'm going to be getting my son actually for Valentine's Day,
Oh yeah.
which I never saw before. And it's a t-shirt which has a pouch in it that you could put the cat in there and then an opening for their head to come out.
I'm
So
surprised that Liz has not heard of this
I
before.
so need that for Max. Richard and I, from the time we got Max, he was a pound and he was all messed up. He was a rescue. We started carrying him around the house because we wanted him to get used to snuggling and stuff. We wanted a cat that wouldn't like run away the minute we tried to pet it like my other rescues, because they're all terrified because of their early childhood trauma, right? I want that. Oh my gosh, Jackie, you have to give me the link.
I found it on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm thinking we should have a shop that we're going to open with all the cool stuff to talk about.
Oh my gosh,
But
yes.
I actually had one. I got one. I think it was at the beginning of the pandemic, actually, when everybody was buying everything that they scrolled across on social media. And I was so excited for it. And my cat didn't even halfway fit into it because he was already too big. So I gave it to my niece.
Oh yeah, well, Max is kind of growing. He is getting bigger, but I'm telling you, lugging that cat around, I was carrying him around today and he's getting heavy.
How much does he weigh?
And
I
he just
think
kind of flops too, like a
Well,
rag doll,
there-
you're
yeah.
saying.
Like a rag doll. Yeah, I think he's close to 10 pounds now.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
only 9 months old. So he's going to be kind of a big cat because of the Maine Coon. He has like
I
12%
had-
Maine Coon or something.
Yeah, one of mine, my Rocky was part Maine Coon, and he was the best cat.
They're
You know, like
sweet.
I've had lots of cats, and my Maine Coon was my best one ever.
Well, yeah. So Danielle and I went to this pet expo. Was it a couple weekends ago, I guess?
Mhm.
And
Super
they
Pet
had-
Expo.
I was going to be there.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a lot of cat space. You would have liked the dog stuff. They have really cute things for dogs.
They had a ball pen for the dogs that were jumping around in it. It was adorable.
Yeah, but the cat part had a Maine Coon in it. That thing was ginormous.
Some of them
Beautiful.
can be big, yes.
How much do you think that cat weighed, Danielle?
Well, it was much larger than Loki is, and Loki's 13 pounds. So I would say at least 15, that cat.
Yeah, it was huge. It was gorgeous. It had long hair. They brushed it. It was really nice.
And it was
but-
just hanging out. It was just sitting there
Yeah.
hanging out.
And it
Well-
was so, what I thought was so funny was it was just this little area for cats. They had curtained off. They said no dogs allowed. So there's
Then
this
the rest of the
person-
place was all dogs.
The rest of the place is all dogs. So there's this person standing right at the door with a dog. I'm kind of like, there is no place else in this huge place for you to stand.
They're
with
rule
that dog.
breakers. Nobody tells them where to stand. Right?
Yeah.
Where does it say nobody puts baby in the corner? Nobody tells the
Yeah.
dogs they can't go in there.
But I wanted to ask you, Danielle, also, you had mentioned, because my Layla doesn't let me brush her,
Mhm.
and she really needs a grooming. Where do you take her? I have to ask you.
So it's a new place that just opened up. So I will let you know of my experience and share with you if it goes
Okay.
well. My prior experience was I actually, because I like to learn stuff myself. So the last time we needed to groom him, we bought all the tools and did it ourselves. It's just stressful. Like I sweat the entire time, and I don't want to tick him off. I'd rather someone else tick him off, and then I'm like the one who comes in and saves him afterwards. But then we actually did take him to another groomer, but they neglected to tell me they didn't really work with cats, but they were willing to try. But I was already there, and I was kind of desperate because it was in a spot where I didn't want to hurt him. And there's professionals for that reason.
Right.
But halfway through, he called me back and said, "I'm so sorry, I tried, but I don't have the right tools. I'm not getting through his fluff." So then right back to me again. So I saw really good reviews for this place. The woman's been working with cats for over 15 years. She said she
Oh,
has
okay.
3 of her own. So I just felt trust there.
Okay.
So I'll let you know how it goes. And who knows?
All right, great.
I'll ask
Thank
her to
you.
be on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to find a place near me to get Max's nails cut because I'm kind of afraid to do it myself.
Oh, I've done it. Yeah, I have no problem doing the nails at all.
Okay, Danielle, well, come and see me, or
Yeah,
I'll
well,
bring
we'll
it
have
down
to
to
say
you.
nails.
Well, I learned it through the rescue, and it's funny because my rescue friends were like, "It's really not that big of a deal," and I'm like, "I don't want to hurt them," and I'm not, with scruffing, I don't love scruffing, and I know there's both sides to people saying that it's needed, some people saying it's unnecessary, especially cat behaviorists, but I don't know. I
Well,
always
I would-
worry I'm going to hurt somebody.
I wanted to ask both you guys too, since you've had cats forever. Have you or do you know anybody who's ever tried those fake fingernails that go on the cat's claws?
No,
No.
I've heard people
'Cause-
talk about it, but I would love to see it actually work because
Well,
I
I
don't see
looked-
how.
I looked at it. You have to glue them on.
Oh,
That doesn't sound nice.
I'll put that on my research list to learn more about that.
Because I think
I'm making a lot of faces today. Like, ooh,
I know. I think Max was getting better partly because they cut his nails really short. When I took him to
Sure.
the vet,
I
last
cut
time.
mine pretty regularly. I've fallen a little bit behind with Thor. And
So
like
I'm-
once you stop with his, that's when the knots start. And then I didn't want to get hit by his claws when I was trying to brush him. So that's why we're going to the groomer.
Yeah, I might take him, see if PetSmart will do it. I asked PetSmart and they're like, I don't know, you got to go ask the groomers. I'm like, well, you work here, you don't know. It's like, no. And I'm like, I'm not going to go open the door to the groomers because they had 1 million dogs in there. So, but I'm going to see if there's somebody local that like really close to me that will cut a cat or at least help me cut the cat's nails.
Well, my
right?
sister-in-law, she lives further down south though, but that's what she does. Her business. She does pet sitting and then she does in-home nail clippings for
Oh, does
rabbits,
she? Okay.
dogs, cats. Yeah.
What about your vet? Sometimes the vets will do it.
The vets will do it, but I got to tell you up here. So I'm up in kind of like in central northern New Jersey. They are so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
ours
just
will only do it
crazy.
as part of an appointment. And I almost feel bad asking them, especially with all the rescue work that our vets helping out with too. They're just so overwhelmed. They've got so much going on.
Yeah, just to get him in there. And he's got, a lot of extra toes. He's polydactyl. And so he's got like 2 or 3 extra fingers, and then he's got an extra toe on each foot in the back. So there's a lot of
Well, we have the cat behaviorist coming on. So, I mean, I could share my tips with you maybe on another episode about how I
That'd
do
be
the
great.
clipping. Because it's different for each cat. 2 of them I could do one way. One we have to kind of sneak when he's really wiped out and tired and kind of like trick him into getting his nails done while he's sleeping. And the other one, we just have to kind of hold him, talk to him, give him gravy to distract him while we're doing it, and then apologize the whole time. Then we're eventually done. But the other 2, I could just kind of scruff them a little bit. They whine, I do it, they're done, they run away.
Hmm.
You know what the problem with Max is too, is we've given him so much medicine all his life practically, and we still are. I hate to do one more thing to the poor little guy.
Mhm.
Right.
So and they're like, people are like, put a cone on him. I'm like, I have put the cone on him. He turns into the total ragdoll. He gets so depressed. He just lays there with his head stuck out. And he's like, why are you doing this to me? And it's just like, it breaks my heart. And I am such a softie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I tried ordering from Amazon also. I sent it back because it didn't fit her. It's a cone that looks like it's a clear head of a cat's head that you put over your cat. And it clips on so that you could brush it and clip the nails and everything. So the cat doesn't turn around to bite you.
Oh, see, my cats don't bite; they swat. So, like, I
Yeah.
get sliced up while I'm trying to cut their nails. But
Yeah.
I've just been neglecting it, and now
Yeah.
I'm committing to getting a lot of stuff done this weekend. I'm going to clip all my cat's nails and stay on top of it again, so that doesn't happen. So,
Okay.
thank you so much for being here today, Jackie.
Thank you for asking me.
We could totally talk about 400 things another day for sure.
Mhm.
A lot of things to follow up on, but how can people connect with you? How do you prefer to connect with listeners?
I could give out my phone number, or my website is JacquelineBerman.com actually, or JacquelineBerman.wearelegalshield.com.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes and on the YouTube. And if anybody has issues spelling anything, it should be in the title of the episode as well.
Yes. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And here to answer any questions.
It was fun,
Thanks.
Jackie.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me today. This was fun. And I
right,
love what
everybody.
you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. Make sure to join us on our Facebook group. It's called the Jersey Podcast Community. You can look for us there. Visit our website, thejerseypodcats.com, and listen anywhere that you love to listen to podcasts. Make sure to follow the show, give us a rating, and all that jazz. Thanks, everybody.
Meow.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. Give this podcast a rating so other cat lovers can find it. Connect with the Jersey PodCats on social media or visit thejerseypodcats.com and leave a message sharing a story or question about cats. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode.